Have you ever thought about what if dinosaurs had not gone extinct?
Welcome back to Think What If, the channel where we explore the most mind-bending scenarios, the strangest possibilities, and the wildest questions about our world and beyond. Today, we're diving into a terrifying idea that mixes prehistoric power with undead horror. What if dinosaurs returned as zombies? Picture this for a moment. The mighty Tyrannosaurus rex, the king of the dinosaurs, resurrected not in its living, breathing glory, but as a decaying, unstoppable predator driven only by hunger. Imagine herds of zombie triceratops roaming ancient plains reborn in modern cities, or gigantic brachiosaurus corpses dragging their rotting bodies across landscapes, leaving trails of destruction. The thought alone is enough to send chills down anyone's spine.
Are we facing a future we can barely comprehend?
But how would such a nightmare unfold? And more importantly, how could humanity possibly survive? To understand this terrifying possibility, let's first break down what we mean by zombie dinosaurs. Dinosaurs went extinct about 66 million years ago, most likely due to a massive asteroid impact and its aftermath. Their bones are buried deep beneath our feet, relics of an age long gone. But what if, through some bizarre twist of science or nature, those bones weren't the end? What if a virus, a parasite, or even human experimentation managed to bring back the bodies of these ancient giants, but without their minds, instincts, or natural behaviors? Instead, they'd rise as reanimated corpses, driven only by a primal urge to consume. This raises a fascinating question. How would zombie dinosaurs even function? Unlike humans, dinosaurs varied drastically in size and biology. A velociraptor was roughly the size of a turkey, agile and fast, while a massive Argentinosaurus could reach up to 100 feet in length and weigh over 100 tons. If reanimated as zombies, these creatures wouldn't need to eat to survive in the traditional sense. Just like zombie fiction portrays, they'd be sustained not by biology, but by some unknown dark force or infection. That means their muscles might still move despite decay, their jaws could still bite despite broken teeth, and their sheer size would still be enough to cause massive destruction. The real horror lies in scale. A single zombie human is dangerous, but ultimately manageable. A zombie dinosaur, however, would be a catastrophe. Let's imagine a zombie Tyrannosaurus rex standing 20 feet tall, weighing over 9 tons, and with a bite force strong enough to crush a car. Even in death, its decayed body would retain incredible strength. Cities would crumble under its rampage, streets would become hunting grounds, and military firepower would be tested like never before. And then there's the question of infection. Would these zombie dinosaurs be contagious? If they could spread a virus through bites or scratches, we'd face an even bigger nightmare. Not only could humans turn into zombies, but animals could too. Imagine zombie dogs, birds, or even crocodiles infected after contact with these prehistoric monsters. Entire ecosystems could collapse under a cascading wave of undeath. And if smaller zombie dinosaurs, like raptors or Compsognathus, were able to spread quickly through urban areas, humanity would struggle to contain them. Let's consider mobility. Large dinosaurs like Brachiosaurus or Diplodocus were massive, slow-moving creatures. As zombies, they'd be less of a chasing threat and more like towering engines of destruction. They could topple skyscrapers, crush entire highways, and scatter survivors with every lumbering step. Smaller dinosaurs, though, would be far more dangerous. Velociraptors, though, even undead, could leap, slash, and attack in packs. A swarm of zombie raptors loose in a city would be nearly impossible to stop without heavy weaponry. So how would humanity respond to such a catastrophe? Our first line of defense would obviously be the military. Tanks, fighter jets, and missiles would be deployed to take down the largest threats. But zombie lore tells us one thing clearly: you can't kill what's already dead by conventional means. Destroying the brain or completely obliterating the body might be the only way to stop them. Now imagine trying to destroy the brain of a massive sauropod, its skull larger than a car. Heavy artillery would be required, and even then, you'd need direct hits. For smaller zombie dinosaurs, it might be more feasible machine guns, explosives, and traps could neutralize them. But with sheer numbers, humanity would still be overwhelmed. Another factor is geography. If zombie dinosaurs reappeared globally, we'd be in trouble. But if they rose in isolated regions, say from fossil beds in North America, Africa, or Asia, there might be a chance to contain them. Quarantines, no-fly zones, and heavy fortifications would be crucial. However, modern transportation, global trade, and human movement make containment difficult. Just as we've seen with pandemics, once something spreads, it spreads fast. A single infected dinosaur reaching a major city could unleash chaos on an unimaginable scale. Now, let's think about survival. Could humans adapt to living in a world plagued by zombie dinosaurs? Perhaps our cities would evolve into fortress-like structures, with walls high enough to keep out the largest threats and defenses capable of handling smaller predators. Rural areas might become wastelands avoided at all costs. Survivors would likely rely on underground shelters, high-rise bunkers, and heavily armed safe zones. Communities would need to become self-sufficient, producing food, water, and energy without relying on vulnerable supply chains. But survival wouldn't just be about protection, it would also be about knowledge. Scientists would rush to study the cause of this resurrection. Is it a virus, a parasite, something supernatural? Could it be cured or at least controlled? Imagine labs working around the clock to create countermeasures while the world outside crumbles under undead titans. Humanity's best hope might not be in direct confrontation, but in finding the source and shutting it down. Culturally, this scenario would transform society. Religion, philosophy, and art would all wrestle with the idea of the dead rising, especially the dead of a species long extinct. Entire belief systems might be shaken. Governments would collapse under the pressure, while new alliances and power structures would emerge in the chaos. In many ways, this wouldn't just be a zombie apocalypse, it would be the birth of an entirely new age of humanity defined by survival against impossible odds. And here's another chilling thought. What if zombie dinosaurs weren't limited to land? Picture undead mosasaurs or plesiosaurs rising from ancient seabeds. Zombie sea reptiles patrolling our oceans would spell disaster for shipping routes, fishing industries, and island nations. Airborne pterosaurs, if they too were resurrected, could swoop down on cities, spreading terror from the skies. Humanity would be forced to defend not just land, but air and sea against creatures that should have remained buried in history. Still, as terrifying as this scenario is, it does highlight one undeniable truth: humanity is resilient. We've faced predators, plagues, wars, and disasters before. In the face of zombie dinosaurs, we would fight, adapt, and innovate. Perhaps we'd develop specialized weapons designed to penetrate massive skulls. Perhaps we'd harness drones and robotics to battle the creatures without risking human lives. Maybe, in the darkest hours, we'd even learn to coexist, turning captured zombie dinosaurs into weapons themselves, a grim twist of survival at any cost. In the end, the question of what if dinosaurs returned as zombies isn't just about imagining an apocalypse. It's about confronting our deepest fears of power beyond our control, of nature reborn in twisted forms, and of survival in a world turned upside down. Dinosaurs once ruled the earth, and if they came back as zombies, they might rule it again, not as majestic rulers of the past, but as horrifying reminders of what happens when life and death are thrown into chaos. So, what do you think? Could humanity survive a world where zombie dinosaurs walked among us? Or would we become nothing more than another chapter in Earth's long and terrifying history? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey into the unimaginable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Think What If, where the only limit is your imagination.